longer than 50. If you must use any other language, please use subtitles in your phone.
Rashes again? Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Buy diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
We come to you when we are sick, scared, and we trust you to give us sound advice and the care, treatment, and medication we need. You take great care to make sure your clinic or hospital is clean and safe for your doctors, nurses, visitors, and patients. We at Hako Industries appreciate you and thank you for your service to humanity. We have answered your call for a high-quality, affordable hospital sanitizer. Amara fragrance-free sanitizer is an alcohol-based sanitizer containing 70% alcohol that gives a broad-spectrum antimicrobial activity that's effective on bacteria, viruses, and fungi. Amara cares.
What comes to your mind when you think of the perfect home for your family? Is it the beauty, the comfort, the security, the convenience, or even the affordability? Victory Gardens offers exactly that and much more. It is just 10 minutes drive from Kitengela town and 3.8 kilometers off the tarmac. This gated community project comes with solar street lighting, maram roads, beautiful trees, 24-hour security, and water connected to every plot. The best part is, families are already living here. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optiven.co.ke.
Optiven Limited, the pacesetters in real estate.
Education is key. Education to develop a nation. Education giving every learner the material for learning. KICD, every stage from ECD. KICD, shule ya msingi na ya upili. KICD, mahitaji maalum na waalimu. KICD, for your curriculum. KICD.
The Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, nurturing every learner's potential.
Ugonjwa wa virusi vya corona au COVID-19 sasa unaenea humu nchini kupitia kwa matone ya mtu aliyeambukizwa anapokohoa, anapopiga chafya au kwa kugusa sehemu au vifaa vilivyo na virusi hivi. Yeyote aliye na kinga hafifu mwilini yuko katika hatari ya kuambukizwa COVID-19. Ikiwa unaishi na ugonjwa kama vile virusi vya HIV, saratani, kifua kikuu, kisukari, miongoni mwa magonjwa mengine, unashauriwa kutembelea kliniki yako kwa maelezo kamili kuhusu jinsi ya kupata dawa, kuzingatia matibabu ili kuboresha kinga mwilini, na kushauri jamaa na marafiki jinsi ya kupata dawa, kudumisha mawasiliano na jamaa na marafiki, na kufuata mwongozo wa serikali kuhusu jinsi ya kuzuia corona. Pata habari kuhusu COVID-19 kupitia duru zinazoaminika. Piga 719 au bonyeza nyota 719 alama ya reli. Komesha corona. Jilinde. Linda familia na jamii. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na serikali ya Kenya.
Pembe Flour, your most trusted quality brand for over 3 decades, has a new look now. This new pack is available in all leading supermarkets and outlets. It's still the same flour. Great taste, so you can cook and bake all you love with Pembe Flour. Pembe yangu ni poa.
This is NTV.
exactly 76 days since the first case of the coronavirus was reported in the country. It has been 76 days of fending off a stealthy killer virus out to ravage mankind, and while at it, also battling the endless list of turmoils that came with it. 76 such days of pain and anguish for patients and their families, and life in the depths of despair for noble citizens burdened by the rapid economic downturn. 76 agonizing days of blood and sweat for tireless medical personnel, the stubborn angels on the front line of the war. 76 long days and nights of a new normal and somehow a blurry future. A recent study by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics paints a grim image of a people toiling from the enormous weight of an unrelenting global pandemic, but still reaching for life and livelihood in the face of uncertainty. An unwelcome guest whose limits of disruption are an ever-shifting blurred line is visiting more and more Kenyan households and leaving a devastating imprint on the walls of comfort. Well, Team Coverage Wednesday examines the socio-economic impact of the monstrous crisis presently before us by counting the cost on health, education, payment of rent, and yes, your matatu fare to literally anywhere in and across the motherland. The top stories on NTV tonight.
Today, I come to you with sober news.
The number of infections reach a somber milestone.
We have hit a triple-digit figure at 123 persons.
And also tonight,
we have recorded a very high number of 33 people in Mathare.
The threat of the virus looms large over the country's informal settlements. Plus, an exclusive peek into the president's mind. What informs his ruthless house cleaning?
Don't let your ambitions of tomorrow cloud what you must do today.
The tough choices for the hardest job in the country. And also tonight, from being late on the rent to paying more for a journey to anywhere.
Afadhali nitembee na miguu ambayo Yesu Kristo alinipa, natembea polepole ili nifike hata bila nauli yoyote kwa sababu nitagaramika nikipanda pikipiki.
The COVID-19 pandemic is serving up a cocktail of trouble in homes. Team Coverage is counting the socio-economic cost of the pandemic to many households.
NTV Tonight with Smriti Vidyarthi.
Thanks very much for joining us and welcome to the broadcast. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Flora Atieno. Well, now let's bring out the team in our team coverage tonight. Melita Oletenges is joining us live from Nyeri. Bernard Ojwang is live from Migori, and Bridget Ngana is in Nakuru. Our features editor Brenda Wanga is participating live from her home, and with me here in studio is our health reporter Eunice Omolo. All right, we will be counting the cost in a short while with our team members, but first let's bring you up to speed with the global numbers. And there are over 5.7 million coronavirus infections globally, and 354,230 people have died from the virus. In Africa, the infections are over 122,000 and 3,645 people have died. And in the United States, over 1.7 million people have been infected, with the death toll standing at 101,141. Let's come back home now. And tonight, as the country battles the deadly coronavirus, the Ministry of Health is fighting a chronic ailment, corruption and malfeasance. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says he will need to inject a dose of sanity at Afya House following a number of corruption scandals involving the officials at the ministry. Well, in the latest scam, individuals impersonating senior officials at the ministry are said to have fraudulently obtained personal protective equipment worth 37 million shillings under the guise of working for the ministry. NTV's Zainab Ismail has the details of the case under investigations by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations.
It is at the heart of Afia House that the impersonators are reported to have lured the Isli-based businessman known as Ibrahim Aden into parting with personal protective equipment worth 37 million shillings. The deal was signed and executed inside these walls. The key suspects, who are now under investigations by detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, purported to work for the Ministry of Health and even had access to a boardroom where the meetings to defraud the businessman were allegedly held. Another suspect, George Otolo Akech, was yesterday charged with fraud after he also forged a letter purportedly from the Ministry of Health dated the 4th of May, which he allegedly used to obtain personal protective equipment worth about 12 million shillings from a businessman. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe, while acknowledging the presence of unscrupulous individuals at Afia House, said he is working to weed out all those involved in dubious and fraudulent transactions under the ministry's name.
This building here has got its fair share of criminals. Like any other marketplace, there are few mad cases in here. And we will unearth them. As we move on, we will unearth them.
This cabal of well-connected and deeply rooted dissidents at Afia House seem to have a hand in many dubious dealings that go undetected.
These are the people who you call a public officer, who you call a businessman, and tell them that they have got an order which they can help get him with a fake tender. But that fake tender might even have a Ministry of Health logo, just like any other sector. Just like any other ministry, we have got our challenges here. The only difference is that we are willing to own them up, and therefore we are willing to face them head on.
On Friday last week, DCI detectives apprehended Mercy Wahiga Wanjiku, who is said to be the mastermind of the 37 million shillings fraud case, alongside others, and was arraigned before Senior Principal Magistrate Martha Nanzushi of the Milimani Law Court. She is said to have demanded 3 million shillings from the Isli-based businessman to bribe officials in the ministry to approve the supply. The businessman allegedly gave out 2.3 million shillings to facilitate the approvals. But it was after some time that he realized he had been duped after his incessant calls to the ministry to demand a payment for the supply went unanswered. CS Kagwe recently transferred 31 officers from the ministry's headquarters at Afia House, which has been dogged by serious corruption scandals in the recent past, and its procurement procedures found to allow and finance kickback-driven projects. Zainab Ismail, NTV.
Meanwhile, the number of daily coronavirus infections reached a sobering new milestone. 123 people tested positive in the last 24 hours, the highest number recorded ever since the country reported the first case. And as the cases soar, the threat of the pandemic looms large over the country's informal settlements. NTV's Kevin Mutai with the details.
Today, I come to you with sober news. Our figures are staggering. We have tested the largest number of samples at over 3,000, starting at 3,077 over the last 24 hours. As could be expected out of that figure, we have also registered the highest number of positive Kenyans in 24 hours at 123 persons. For the first time, we have hit a triple-digit figure.
Nairobi has the highest number of infections with 85 new cases. Mombasa has 24, Kiambu has 4, Kajiado 3, while Kisumu recorded 2 new cases, which the ministry says were imported from Nairobi. The counties of Garissa, Kilifi, Busia, and Uasin Gishu had 1 case each. In Nairobi County, the city's informal settlements are bracing for impact. The threat of the virus looms large in these densely populated areas. Mathare recorded 33 new cases, while Kibera recorded 14 new infections. The government now worries that these may be the viral flashpoints.
The figures which we have shared illustrate the rapid rate of transmission in the informal settlements of Nairobi. This means that there is a ranging number of infections in these areas. We either live in those places, have a relative that resides there, or know someone else that does. So what does that mean? It means that this disease is now within the communities.
Most of the guidelines to keep the virus at bay, such as social distancing, have been hard to implement in such cramped settlements. A number of them also don't have access to clean water and thus cannot maintain proper hygiene.
Hakuna moja wetu ambayo yuko salama. Awe ni yule anauza mboga pale sokoni, ama ni tajiri wa aina gani, hakuna mtu ambaye sasa anaweza kusema ati hii virusi iko mbali sana na yeye.
The ministry is concerned that a number of people are back to their normal routines before the virus ruined daily life and insists on personal responsibility as a potent weapon against the unseen enemy.
Cooperate and survive, or ignore directives and suffer.
3 more people lost the battle with the virus to bring the death toll to 55. 408 people have so far been treated and discharged. 7 patients are currently under critical condition, with 4 on ventilators and 3 on supplemental oxygen. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
The highest number of cases reported in a day there, standing at 123. We'll be following these numbers closely, and do be sure to join us on the Nation Leadership Forum tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. where I will be discussing the impact of the coronavirus on public health and also health workers. Well, President Uhuru Kenyatta defined just how personal the fight against COVID-19 is, as he insisted on why everyone, without exceptions, should take personal responsibility in the fight against the pandemic. In an exclusive interview with Nation Media Group's editorial director, Mutuma Matthew, the president revealed that he had to give one of his own sons a dressing down for breaking the rules. Ngina Kirori has more.
The government has on several occasions reiterated that the fight against the virus was personal, calling on each citizen to take up a personal initiative to safeguard themselves from the virus by observing proper hygiene, wearing a mask, and staying at home. But for President Uhuru Kenyatta, the fight against the virus has taken a more personal role.
I have a young son also, not young, but he's a young man who happened to be was traveling to Mombasa with his mother when all of this happened, so they were caught out in Mombasa. They are still there. And because of now the confinement rules that we have put, they can't move back. And he decided one day that he wants to go out. And I asked him a personal question, and I told him, it's fine, because it was reported to me by some other fellows that he had done that. So I said, okay, you've gone out, right? You've had your fun and you've enjoyed yourself, right? But now you've come back and you're with your grandmother. Your grandmother is 80 plus, right? If something happens to your grandmother as a result of what you have done, how will you live with yourself?
The government has, since the first case was reported, been doubling down on the role of individuals in the fight against the pandemic that has ravaged much of the world. For him, no one is exempt.
It is that son of mine I was telling you about, who has to ask himself, that's where you are. You can't come home, you are with your grandmother. Your grandmother's life is in your hands. You see, it's you to decide. And to ask yourself, if something were to happen, how are you going to live with yourself? Just because of one evening out. to go and see your girlfriend or go and see what?
The revelation by the president puts into perspective just how fragile the line between life and demise is during this fight. But as the head of state affirmed, the decision to reopen the country will come only after serious deliberation is done, stating that if it is done too fast, then the country could be digging more graves.
And as we come closer to reopening our economy, I want to go back to what I've just told you. This shall be a factor of our personal responsibility, because we have seen those countries that have basically reopened. And what has happened? We have seen a second wave. We have seen a surge of this disease. Germany is a perfect example.
The president also waded into the recent dispute between Kenya and Tanzania that saw the once brotherly relations turn frosty over testing protocols for truck drivers transporting goods into and from the country.
I want you to come. I want you to share a meal with me. I want you to partake and we develop together. But in my home, these are the protocols you're going to have to observe. Yeah? And that does not mean I hate you. Yeah? Just like you will go to your neighbor's house. Yeah? If your neighbor's house, the wife tells you, before you enter my house, remove your shoes at the door. You remove your shoes and before you go in.
As quoted by Mutuma Matthew in the words of Max Dupree, the first responsibility of any leader is to define reality. With the country recording the highest number of cases in 24 hours, this is especially critical in understanding how best to live with the new reality that 50 million plus Kenyans are facing. Gena Kerori, NTV.
And indeed, regardless of who you are, no one is immune. Well, President Uhuru Kenyatta also said that he will not spare anyone standing in his way of service delivery and achieving his agenda. Well, speaking again exclusively to Nation's editorial director Mutuma Matthew, President Kenyatta defended his move to eject the Senate leadership, accusing them of engaging more in politics than concentrating on the government's agenda in Parliament. Our senior political affairs reporter Kennedy Mureithi now reports that President Kenyatta has also said his relationship with opposition leader Raila Odinga is here to stay.
Politics is also going to take another hour.
The political temperature in the country is rising and it is not about to go down anytime soon. This is captured in a one-on-one interview with President Uhuru Kenyatta, who has categorically stated he will still make changes within his party until those in the leadership positions toed the line.
I want people who are not going to fight that agenda that I laid out and made to Kenyans. I want people who are going to support that agenda.
Speaking on the ouster of Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen and his Nakuru and Tharaka Nithi counterparts Susan Kihika and Kithure Kindiki respectively, the president noted he had an agenda to fulfill and would go to any lengths to fulfill it.
I don't have that much time to go. I can't continue pleading. So if you feel you're not able to work in tandem with my agenda, please then, why don't you let me put somebody, who is keen and eager to help me fulfill that agenda that I promised Kenyans in 2017 for the second time and in 2013 for the first time. That's all. So me, I'm not against anybody, I'm not for anybody, but if you feel you're not comfortable, then I say, then this gives you now free time to engage in whatever you want to engage in. But these positions are very critical to me and my fulfillment of this agenda. So let me put somebody who is willing to put their time and effort into it.
President Kenyatta also revisited his relationship with his deputy, which has been on ice for some time now.
Don't let your ambitions of tomorrow cloud what you must do today. Because what you do today is what shall determine where you shall be tomorrow. That's all. And it's as basic as that to me.
The president defended his relationship with ODM leader Raila Odinga, hailing it as the best medicine for the country, adding that he will continue to reach out to more leaders in the hope of finding a working formula for the country's incessant political violence.
I have not reached out to break what we have. I've reached out to extend what we have.
On BBI, President Kenyatta agrees with Odinga that it has just been rested and will resume immediately once the pandemic is dealt with.
The BBI process is one area where I have always wondered why we are politicizing this process. Because what is it about? It is about bringing people together. It is about trying to end suspicions, not create suspicions. If anything, it has been one of the most transparent processes, as far as I'm concerned, that we have had in this country for a long time.
President Kenyatta said that he was on course to achieve the Big Four agenda and committed to reviving the economy post-coronavirus.
Welcome, and anything that you need, anytime.
Kennedy Muredhi, NTV.
Huku ni kwenu.
Well, you can watch the full exclusive interview with the president on Sunday at 7:30 p.m. right here on NTV. Do be sure to tune in. There's plenty more to it. Well, of course, as you know, the president spoke of the delicate balance which needs to be struck between the suffering of families devastated by the economic shock of the COVID-19 pandemic and the dangers of opening up too hastily and giving free rein to the coronavirus. In that exclusive interview, the president reflects on the, quote, very difficult balance between lives and livelihoods in deciding whether to relax the daily curfew across the country and the cessation of movement into some counties. In your Daily Nation tomorrow, read about how COVID-19 has changed President Uhuru's life, but more so his presidency. At a personal level, he, like many parents of young people, as you heard, has had to deal with various issues, including a son who disregarded rules and headed out, potentially putting the life of the elderly former First Lady at risk. In your Daily Nation tomorrow. All right, and now let's turn our attention to Team Coverage Wednesday. And tonight we are counting the cost of the coronavirus pandemic. First out is our reporter Melita Oletenges, live from Nyeri. Now, Melita, shelter as a basic need is now becoming a luxury for many, isn't it?
Smitty, many Kenyan households are increasingly getting worried about where their rent will come from as a result of the economic meltdown brought about by the coronavirus. Quite a huge chunk of tenants were not able to pay rent on time or at all in the month of April, and May is also coming to a close.
At the home of David Karaoke, a sense of worry is palpable. The security guard at a local pub in Nyeri County lost his job when the entertainment joints were closed down due to the coronavirus pandemic. As a result, Karaoke has not been good for his rent for 3 months now as a result of the loss of income.
Per month nalipanga 5,000. So saizi niko na miezi 3 hata stima nimekatiwa.
A study by the Kenya Bureau of Statistics found the problem of defaulting on rent to be so serious across the country as a result of the economic turmoil brought about by the pandemic. Up to 30 in every 100 tenants were not able to pay up either on time or at all in the month of April, whereas about 60 out of 100 tenants were able to do so on time. Up to 53 in every 100 who were not able to pay on time or at all cited reduced income and earnings as the main reason. Another 24 in every 100 tenants say loss of jobs was the main reason for defaulting. 14 in every 100 tenants interviewed said they were unemployed, hence unable to pay, whereas up to 10 in every 100 cited delays in income and earnings as the reason.
Unafanyanga job za events na za club. Saa event zote saa zile zilifungwa, ilibidi sasa mtu ajaribu kuhaso pande mwingine, lakini kupata job saizi ni gumu.
Another 9 in every 100 tenants had their rent waived by their landlords in the month of April. In Nyeri town, we find Munga Kimita, an estate agent who has been collecting rent for landlords in this estate. Aware that tenants are feeling the pinch, Kimita has been persuading his bosses to offer a waiver to those who reside here. In this estate, for example, tenants who are paying between 5,500 to 6,500 shillings have now received a 10% reduction.
Watu wanateseka, kulipa ni shinda, hata chakula ni shinda. Sisi tukaona kile tuweza wasaidia nacho. Akaona ni kupunguza rent, na alipunguza rent. Na tunaona kutoka wakati huo sasa wanaweza kulipa.
The reduction has come as a relief for the tenants.
Kama mimi nilikuwa nimepata mapasha the time being hapo 30th May, na ilikuwa gumu sana kupata riziki ya kutafutia watoto wengine.
Na naomba wale malandlord wengine waangalie maslahi.
While the government has no direct authority over landlords and how they conduct their trade, it has been encouraging those able to waive rent for hard-hit households. But that is hindered by the fact that the landlords themselves, many who are servicing loans, are also feeling the heat.
If it is not rent, then it is the cost of transport, as Bernard Ojwang has been finding out. Bernard.
Melita, public passengers across the country have been forced to pay over 50% more for public transport, and of course it is as a result of the directive that was given by the government to the operators to carry lesser passengers as a way of curbing the spread of the virus. Take a look.
At the members' park in Migori town, only a few public transport vehicles are available. The stay-at-home order, as a safety measure, has reduced the number of passengers across the country. Public transport operators have also been directed to carry strictly up to 3/4 their capacity. This has in turn resulted in a hike in the cost of transport.
Tulikuwa tunaweza pata kitu kama shilingi 5,000 kwa siku kwenye ofisi. Sasa hivi unaweza pata pesa imeingia kwa ofisi shilingi 1,100, 600, 500.
Na iko mtu kama mimi nisipoenda hii barabara hata mtoto wangu hawezi kunywa siturungi. Hawezi. Na hiyo barabara mwenye gari amesimama kufika jioni na mwambia uko na pesa ngapi? Niko na 1,100.
On the receiving end of this increase are passengers now forced to cough more to move from one place to the other.
Previously, Rongo to Kisumu used to be 500 shillings. Currently, unfortunately, stand at between 800 to 1,000.
Kitoka Miulu mpaka Migori itakuwa ni nauli ya kupanda zaidi ya 200. Tulikuwa tunaenda kwa 300, sasa hivi tunaenda 600, 700.
The Kenya Bureau of Statistics study found that the cost of transport has increased by close to 52% on average, meaning for a route that charges 100 shillings, fares have shot up to 152 shillings. Migori County has the highest increase, charging up to 78 shillings over and above the usual amount for every route. In Kitui County, operators charged up to 77 shillings more, while in Marsabit County, bus fares rose by 69 shillings for every route. The three counties with the lowest increase in the cost of transport are Kericho, which charged up to 34 shillings more for every route. Siaya County charged an extra 29 shillings for every route, while in Turkana County, passengers parted with at least 25 shillings more. 33 in every 100 Kenyans who used other means before opted to walk to their respective destinations instead of their usual means. Use of matatus has dropped across the country, with only 24 of every 100 Kenyans using it as a means of transport. Motorbikes have been transporting 19 in every 100 Kenyans.
Kwa hivyo mimi afadhali nitembee na miguu ambayo Yesu Kristo alinipa, na tembea polepole ili nifike hata bila nauli yoyote, kwa sababu nitagaramika nikipanda pikipiki.
So we find it a bit difficult, and our business is actually getting down because of this derailing effect of hiking the price.
The disruption has left some matatu operators with no choice but to park their fleet. The business has become untenable without people to transport. They say
tuko na magari kwa hii route 117 yenye iko kwa barabara ni less than 30, yenye iko kwa barabara less than 30, na range tunapata ni between 1,000 to 1,500 per day.
Matatu operators say the extra charges are necessitated by the requirement to provide hand sanitizers and virus defenses to passengers.
Well, one of the main reasons that have led to the reduction in the number of passengers across the country is the fact that many Kenyans are currently working from home. Brenda Wanga.
Indeed, Bernard, as many Kenyans worry about the cost of transport and the rest, the very source of that livelihood is now under threat. The spread of this virus, the unrelenting spread of the virus, is now eating into the working hours and affecting productivity just about across every other sector of the economy. Take a look.
The silence here is only broken by the sounds of nature. In pre-COVID-19 times, the squeals of children in the playground at break time would dominate.
Your eyes.
From an empty classroom, Caroline Mutinda, a teacher here, is doing her best to ensure that her pupils are getting some semblance of learning.
We are now having Zoom classes in our school from PP1 to grade 8, which is a way of reaching to the kids now when they are at home.
But it is the only way that the teachers can keep working, albeit with considerable downtime.
School, I used to have 7 lessons, each 30 minutes, but now we are having only 1 lesson, 40 minutes, which is a disadvantage to the kids because we are taking few content at a time.
Report what we have said, report what everyone is saying.
The pandemic has caused a reduction in working hours across various sectors and industries. Education tops the list, with teachers found to be losing up to 40 working hours every week. Wholesale and retail traders like shops and supermarkets have been losing 13 hours every week, whereas insurance industry has been losing up to 12 working hours every week. The agriculture industry has seen a shrink of up to 8 hours to tend to farms, while medical practitioners, largely on the front line of the war, have been losing up to 5 working hours. Public administration and security agencies have been losing 2 working hours every week. As for the reasons for absence, 49 out of every 100 working Kenyans interviewed cited the stay-at-home order as the reason for losing in working hours. Another 17 out of 100 cited economic reasons for reduced working hours. Up to 14 in 100 people interviewed said they had been laid off from work, while 1 in 100 cited lack of transport as a reason. Up to 92 in every 100 people say they are not sure when they will resume work. Another 6 in every 100 Kenyans say they might return between 1 to 3 months, whereas 1 in every 100 Kenyans say they are certain about not returning to work at all.
The impact of the productivity, like the syllabus-wise, we cannot start a new concept because not all the pupils have joined the Zoom.
E-learning is a stopgap measure that hasn't got the buy-in of all stakeholders, some key ones are that.
E-learning cannot work. It poses a lot of inequity. One biggest risk in COVID-19 is inequality in access of education.
But education isn't the only sector grappling with reduced working hours and productivity occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic and the response measures.
Tunafanya working hours yetu ni kutoka saa 2 mpaka saa 10, ndiposa wale ambao wanaenda mbali wakaweza kufika ndio wasishikwe na kafyu. Pia wakati wa jioni kunakuwa na challenges ya transportation, so we release them early ili waweze kufika na wakuwe wako safe nyumbani.
Human resource practitioners say that the landscape of work may have been altered, perhaps permanently, by this virus.
In the short term, we are going to see people continuing to work from home for various reasons, mostly driven by the costs that an employer will have to incur to bring everybody back to the office. I say this because we know the government's requirements in terms of compliance to minimize infection.
Our health reporter Eunice Omolo has been looking into the risks that come with this pandemic within the health sector. Eunice?
Brenda, patients with various pre-existing medical conditions have been found to be at a greater risk should they contract the coronavirus. The Bureau of Statistics study found that quite a number of Kenyan households have members with such conditions. Take a look. At the home of Simon Maina in Huruma Flats, Nairobi, anything touching on his daughter has to be done with extra care and attention. Eunice Washera suffers from rheumatic arthritis and lupus, conditions that have put her at a greater risk should she contract COVID-19.
I rarely go out, even to the shops, maybe like once or twice a week. My immunity being low, there's that fear, and COVID-19 being a respiratory condition, and I already have an issue with my lungs. So yeah, there's that fear of contracting it because I know, God forbid, if I happen to get it, that would mean taking me down pretty fast.
I was really shocked when I came to learn that she could no longer go to school because of a condition which started as just a pain in one of her ankles and later developing into pain in both of her ankles and swelling.
Washera's condition attacks the biological component that fights diseases, weakening her ability to repel microbes like coronavirus.
Juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. That is an autoimmune condition whereby the body attacks the health tissues, cells, and so the body starts attacking itself.
Washera is one among many Kenyans with pre-existing medical conditions doing everything they can to keep away from the coronavirus. The Kenya National Bureau of Statistics survey shows that in every 100 Kenyan households, 17 have a member with a pre-existing medical condition. 78 of every 100 households reported having no member with a pre-existing medical condition, whereas 5 out of 100 households do not know. The most prevalent medical conditions was found to be hypertension, with 34 in every 100 homes reporting having a member with the condition. About 20 in every 100 households reached has a member with diabetes. Asthma accounts for pre-existing medical conditions in about 17 of every 100 households reached in the survey, whereas HIV and AIDS was found to be in about 5 of every 100 households interviewed. Tuberculosis and cancer account for about 4 and 2 of every 100 households in the country, respectively. Of the individuals with pre-existing medical conditions, only 12 in every 100 have been attending routine medical checks.
Hata sina vile naweza kwenda hospitali sahi. Hata sahi hata kuna painkiller na meza. Sina hata pesa ya kununua. Nimekaa tu hivi.
Anne Lillian is battling 4 autoimmunity conditions. She's running a campaign to encourage those with any of the conditions to keep attending routine checks. The World Health Organization is also urging governments not to ignore the other medical needs, even as they focus on the coronavirus pandemic. The impact of the coronavirus pandemic has also not spared the education sector. Bridget Ngana has been exploring that. Bridget.
For the past 3 weeks, Irene Osore and her daughter Eflin Adhiambo have been undertaking her daily lessons at home through a WhatsApp group created by the private school Eflin attends. The burden of guiding learning has shifted to parents who are now juggling the new role with fending for the family.
You might find the formulas she's using is the shortest one. But me, I'd prefer the longer one, the one that I was taught. Yeah, but in the end, we come back, we come to a conclusion, then we disagree and agree.
A report by Usawa Agenda and Uwezo Kenya on the status of education during this pandemic found that 1 in every 5 parents of learners are not aware that their children should continue learning remotely from home. Eflin represents 22 out of every 100 learners in the country who have access to digital learning, according to the report.
Sometimes she's doing her homework, then kidogo you hear somebody is calling her. Like her attention is being needed outside, and then so I have to like be there to keep a stop to that, because they might be needing her to go and maybe play outside, and here she's busy doing something that is worth her time.
The status report on the socio-economic impact of the coronavirus on Kenyan households by KNBS found that 48 out of every 100 learners are catching up with their lessons through homeschooling, and some 24 out of every 100 learners have not been continuing with learning. The study maintains that television is the most preferred mode of learning for 19 out of every 100 learners, with radio in second place, followed by online platforms.
Kuna ile time yenye unaweza kuwa na shida mahali, then unaenda na approach mwalimu anakuelezea hapa.
Learners in public institutions are twice likely to miss out on learning through digital platforms compared to their counterparts in private institutions. Most parents have been citing poverty, lack of electricity, smartphones, and internet connectivity as deterrents to accessing digital learning.
Well, Bridget, thank you for that report. And now we wait, of course, for direction on the resumption of school. Well, for the past few months, news about the coronavirus has dominated the headlines, and it's been the main topic of conversation. But what is the actual awareness about COVID-19 among Kenyans? Coming up on your screen now are some statistics from the survey on socio-economic impact of COVID-19 on households report by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. Well, there you have it. 99.4% of Kenyans have heard about the coronavirus. Well, where did they hear from? Nationally, the majority of Kenyans said that the source of information on the virus came from radio and television, with 82% hearing from radio, about 63% from TV, and others from a flyer, a poster or billboard, and then 39% from mobile messages. Well, to the knowledge of protective measures now against the virus, and nearly all adults aged 18 years and above are aware that washing hands with soap is a preventative measure at 97%. Meanwhile, 79% of Kenyans are aware that using a mask is a measure. That's over here. And 66% know about maintaining social distancing, and 55% know that not shaking hands is a way of protection. All right, to the symptoms now, and fever and dry cough were reported by the majority of individuals as the most known symptoms of the coronavirus at 87% and 78% respectively. 65% know that difficulty in breathing is a symptom, and 61% know that sneezing is also a symptom of the coronavirus. Well, those statistics close our team coverage Wednesday tonight, where we examined the socio-economic impact of the coronavirus. At this point, it's time to take a break. Thanks so much to all those involved in participating in this team coverage. We'll have more from you next week. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.
Disinfect and protect your home with Jik. Jik kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs. Disinfect floors, kitchen and bathroom surfaces, and wash white clothes, towels and dishcloths with Jik bleach. Just Jik it.
Birthday party!
Birthday party! Birthday party! Birthday party! Are we not invited? We have gifts! Malaria!
Mommy! Pests!
Run!
Oh, die!
Morty!
Compared to an ordinary spray, Morty and Doom Power Guard kills disease-causing pests instantly. Morty and Doom Power Guard.
Do your gums hurt? Yeah. Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile? All that in one toothpaste? Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums. Ah, Colgate Herbal. Let's go. Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally.
Nyaje wa Kenya. Hii ni public service announcement kuhusu coronavirus.
The Ministry of Health advises all returnees from abroad to self-quarantine for at least 14 days, whether they feel well or unwell.
Wash your hands regularly following the 8 steps of hand washing. Wet hands with warm water, apply a small amount of soap, rub palms together, rub fingers and thumbs and the beads in between, rub nails on palms, rub the back of each hand, rinse with clean running water, and dry thoroughly with a clean dry towel.
Furthermore, it is advisable to cover your mouth and nose adequately when sneezing or coughing and immediately dispose of the tissue in a dustbin. Please do not use handkerchiefs if you can avoid it. If disposable tissue is unavailable, cough into your elbow. Try and avoid close contact with anyone showing signs of a respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing.
Before you share any coronavirus information on social media, please verify it with Ministry of Health to avoid panic and alarm among your fellow Kenyans.
Want to get it all, even on your period? Now you can. 9 out of 10 women who tried our product love it and will buy it. New, always 2-in-1, feathery soft top sheet and super absorbing channels. We are generation of change, always.
Kira! Kira? Where are you?
Malaria!
That's why you need the superior protection of
Morty!
Morty 360-degree reach. Only this has 11 vents which enable it to reach the farthest corners. Morty, total indoor protection.
The risk of illness-causing germs is increasing. It is believed that the coronavirus can remain on surfaces in your home for up to 9 days. Touching infected surfaces is one of the ways in which germs spread. Regularly disinfect your floors, countertops, and kitchen surfaces with bleach. And use an effective toilet cleaner inside and outside your toilet bowl. This message is brought to you by Medifacts, JIC, and HAPIC.
On Thursday, 28th May, the Nation Media Group will hold a live virtual Nation Leadership Forum on COVID-19 and health from 7:30 p.m. on NTV. With the help of a panel of experts, it shall delve into the effects of COVID-19 on the health sector and the various measures instituted to ensure the Kenya healthcare system survives the shocks of COVID-19, including attainment of universal health coverage, and charts a way forward for the sector in the years ahead. Nation Leadership Forum. Engaging society, impacting the nation.
What comes to your mind when you think of the perfect home for your family? Is it the beauty, the comfort, the security, the convenience, or even the affordability? Victory Gardens offers exactly that and much more. It is just 10 minutes drive from Kitengela town and 3.8 kilometers off the tarmac. This gated community project comes with solar street lighting, Maram roads, beautiful trees, 24-hour security, and water connected to every plot. The best part is, families are already living here. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optiven.co.ke.
Optiven Limited, the pay-saters in real estate. Dettol's main objective is to help children protect themselves from diseases. Do you know how we get illnesses like diarrhea, cough, and cold?
No!
They are spread through germs on your hands. Your hands collect germs that causes diseases. You pick up germs from any surface, like when you don't wash your hands after going to the toilet, while playing. And then you can get sick because of germs. That's why you need to fight germs to stay healthy by washing your hands regularly with Dettol soap that gives the best germ protection ever against many illness-causing germs.
Wash, wash, wash your hands. What you have to do is bath, bath, bath yourself. Dettol soap every day. Wash, wash, wash your hands.
Welcome back to NTV Tonight. Former IEBC boss James Oswago will face charges for allegedly influencing a tender that saw Kenyans purchase a faulty voter identification kits for the 2013 general election. Senior Principal Magistrate Felix Kombo says Oswago and other former officials from the Commission will answer to the charges for the dubious 1.3 billion shilling tender after the prosecution proved that it had a case against them. NTV's Silas Apollo reports.
Documents tabled before the Anti-Corruption Court today indicate that former IEBC Chief Executive Officer James Oswago willfully okayed a flawed tender process, thereby causing the taxpayer losses running into billions. Oswago, alongside other IEBC bureaucrats like one Wilson Sholei, are said to have been behind the illegal acquisition of the tender valued at 1.3 billion shillings for the procurement of election materials for the 2013 general elections. At the time, Oswago was the CEO of the commission, while Sholei was the deputy commissioner in charge of support services. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission argues in the case that Oswago and Sholei gravely disregarded procurement procedures while in office. The two have been charged alongside two others with abuse of office and failing to comply with procurement regulation relating to the purchase of electronic voter identification kits, most of which failed during the 2013 general election. Oswago is also fighting off another case where he is accused of receiving a 2 million shillings bribe for the tender of the printing of ballot papers awarded to the British firm Smith and Osman. Prosecutors have told the court that they believe that the two used their position to influence tendering processes.
It is my finding that a case has been sufficiently made out against the first and second accused in count 1 and count 3. Both are called to their defense in these two counts.
The court, however, freed Edward Kenga and Willie Gashanja, who are officials in the finance department. Silas Apollo, NTV.
Elsewhere, Interior Principal Secretary Karanja Kibicho has called on the Kenya Bureau of Standards to investigate the quality of the relief food that was given in Kikuyu after residents were taken ill with food poisoning. Kibicho says those donating food should channel it through the COVID-19 Emergency Response Fund, as the government has banned direct donations.
Tumesikia juzi iko chakula watu wamepewa, kuna poison, iko chakula watu wamepewa, nafanya waume na tumbo, na sisi tukiwa serikali tumeambia watu wa KEBS watafute hiyo chakula, tujue ni nini ilikuwa mbaya na hiyo chakula. Public health na watu wa KEBS waangalie hii chakula inapea watu, ni chakula inaenda kuhatarisha maisha yao ama ni chakula ya kuwafaidisha.
Now, the death toll from the floods pelting the country has risen to 285. More than 810,000 others have been displaced. Even with reduced rainfall in the past weeks, the painful effects are still being felt across 33 counties. Ruth Samwe tells us more.
This family in Ngambo location, Baringo South, epitomizes the pain that the rains have inflicted on approximately 1 million households displaced by the floods. They prepare this meal from proceeds they received from selling charcoal, but the next day's meal is uncertain as their crops were destroyed by floods.
There have been frequent floodings in this area, lakini hii at this time round imekuwa mbaya zaidi, sababu unakuta maji ikipitia kwa boma ya mtu, ng'ombe, mbuzi, kuku zinabebwa. People are really suffering. Sisi tuko kwa flat land, hatuna ile maji tunaitwa raised ground. Ile serikali wanasema endeni kwa miinuko. Hapa hakuna miinuko. Miinuko ile iko hapa ni Parkera irrigation scheme.
They say they have received food donations from the government only once, despite the government promising support.
Please bring this food to this area again, because we are also in need. Let them come and help support the people who are affected by the floods. It is not just because the water is still there in the compound that we need food. We even need food when the compound is dry. Because what are we doing? We cannot go back to those homes again. We cannot do the activities we used to do.
The total number of lives lost have risen from 256 to 285. And also the number of people affected has risen to 810,655. We don't know when COVID would end, but we know when the rains would end. Beginning June, going into July, we must start working together on the long-term solutions.
Cabinet Secretary for Environment on his part says his ministry would invest in tree planting initiatives in a bid to rehabilitate the environment and cushion Kenyans from the harsh effects of climate change.
We'll get about 3 billion Kenya shilling out of the stimulus package. That should be one to mitigate on the impact of deforestation, climate change, and provision of water to the ASAL areas, flood controls, and my colleague here will be speaking a lot about flood controls.
Ruth Sarmoi, NTV.
It's 10 to 10. We've got to take a break now on NTV tonight. Plenty more coming up. I'll be back with the day's business news. Stay with us.
Can you tell Kenyanju to come to my office immediately? Good morning. Good morning. Mimi sipendi unapanguza floor. Hiyo dust uache hapa kwa meza. Clean up. Kenyanju, this is the problem, eh? Next time uende ununue selector yako, utengeneze sandwich zako, uachane na sandwich za boss.
Selector. The difference is in the taste.
Hii uende weke kwa ile githeri yako, eh?
It's in times of great difficulty that we should always give thanks to those who are there for us. So, to all our customers who have been there for their friends, their families, those in need, as well as us, we'd like to say thanks. Thanks for staying at home and staying connected. We've got you. With an automatic upgrade on us. A little gift from our heart straight to yours.
Welcome to the conferencing service.
Emma! Carry on, Ken.
First quarter sales, they're up 90%.
Very good. Very good.
We are looking at a 55 billion shilling profit by the end of the financial year.
Now we are talking. Here we talk billions. Very good. I gotta go. Wacha niendelee na kazi.
A person has left the conference.
Niko nyumbani. Downloads are very fast. Streaming, eco. And I'm just working from here. Stay connected and work from the convenience of wherever you are. Fiber to the home.
Working from home? No problem. Fiber Home has you covered with the fastest and most reliable internet speeds. Get connected today. Kazi lazima iendelee.
Selena!
Toto, where's mommy?
Today's a toilet day.
What? Oh.
Selena!
Toilet day?
Tomorrow we're hosting a party and it's a matter of my reputation.
It's a toilet, not a white shirt. Even if you spend your entire day cleaning with bleach and detergents, you won't be party ready.
Impossible.
Challenge. Harpic 10X. Even if you use bleach and detergent 10 times, they won't give you the same sparkling clean toilet that Harpic 10X will give you.
Wow!
Harpic 10X. Harpic, Kenya's #1 toilet cleaner.
Melissa?
Mom, it's Dad's birthday today. I'm giving him a party just like he gives me.
Nothing makes a mother more proud than seeing her child growing up. But I know that as she learns to care for others, she'll face even more germs and the risk of illnesses.
That's why you need strong Dettol protection. Just 1 cup of Dettol protects your home and family from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
Welcome to the business news. The central bank has retained its benchmark lending rate at 7%, arguing that the measures it adopted in March and April were having the intended effect on the country's economy. This is the first time the Monetary Policy Committee is not adjusting the policy rate downwards this year, having lowered it in its 3 last consecutive meetings to support the economy, especially after the first case of COVID-19 was announced in the country. Kenya's economic growth is expected to weaken to 2.3% this year due to the coronavirus pandemic, down from the 5.4% registered in 2019. Now, the management of national flag carrier Kenya Airways maintains that the company is a viable business despite the recurrent losses it reports. This comes just a day after the airline reported a 12.9 billion shilling loss for the year ended December 2019. Julian Zamboko with the details.
Despite crossing the 5 million passengers mark for the first time ever in 2019 and posting the strongest growth in revenues ever since it commenced operations, Kenya Airways slumped deeper into the loss territory in 2019, posting a 12.9 billion shillings loss. Speaking during the investor briefing held virtually on Wednesday, Kenya Airways board chairman Michael Joseph said that a bill for the renationalization of the airline is presently before the Attorney General and should thereafter be headed to the National Assembly.
This bill, we are waiting for it to go to Parliament. Apparently, it is still with the Attorney General. From my information is that it will go to Parliament at the first opportunity that we have, and I'm hoping that it will come up in the next few weeks.
Reports indicate that the bill provides for a buyout of other shareholders by the government and the formation of an aviation holding company to run the airline and the Kenya Airports Authority. The halting of passenger flights in light of COVID-19 has left the carrier relying on cargo flights, and the management now indicates that 1,600 tons of flowers have been airlifted to Europe alongside another 2,600 tons of foodstuffs, among other cargo traffic.
What we're doing is this. First of all, look at routes where we think we'll be able to build traffic quickly enough. Secondly, we look at routes that were giving us a positive contribution to the entire network.
Jillian Amboko, NTV.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission detectives are investigating the loss of 228 bags of sugar at the Nzoia Sugar Company in Bungoma County in an alleged fraud incident. Reports indicate that the sugar firm sold the commodity to a non-existent company which packed it and disappeared after making payments using a check that was later rejected, as NTV's Judith Cherono now reports.
The business company, only identified as Uni Limited, is said to have paid an amount of 900,000 shillings, but the funds never reflected in the sugar miller's bank accounts.
But a snippet of it, as reported to me, is a concept of a flash check, where a check is issued, and before you get the proceeds, then you have released the goods, and the check subsequently bounces. That is the report that I do have internally, but obviously we are allowing the investigative agencies to unravel this matter in its entirety.
Detectives are said to be interrogating the company's managing director, finance manager, marketing manager, and the board members over the incident, which sources who spoke to NTV said might have been an inside job.
Obviously, when you deposit a check, the money is immediately reflected as a book balance. So without appearing to lay blame, because it's a matter that is still being investigated, my team, in reviewing as they do normally review, they may have cited, they should have, they did cite this amount, but there may, in my view, there may have been a lapse for them not appreciating the fact that this was actually a check deposit and not a cash deposit.
The investigating officers are also pursuing some bank officials and a Nairobi businessman who are believed to have been part of the scam.
Mimi kama mkulima na wakulima wengi tumekatavika sana kusikia kwamba sukari yetu imeibiwa. Na kuibiwa kwa sukari kutafanya wakulima wasilipwe. Na kwa hivyo mimi kama mkulima naomba rais wa nchi hii atume watu wa IEBC na vitengo vyote vya uchesusi wachunguze wizi kwa kiwanda cha Nzoia ili wajue ni nani alihusika na wizi huu.
This comes at the time when Ken farmers want President Uhuru Kenyatta to speed up the implementation of Sugar Task Force report. Judith Cherono, NTV.
Now, dividends paid up to multinationals for the controlling stakes in the Nairobi Securities Exchange listed firms are set to drop by 21% this year, as a few blue chips reduced their payouts by significant amounts. Well, for this story and more business news, get your copy of the Business Daily tomorrow. And it's time for another breather. I'll be back with more news. Stay with us.
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night.
This new pack is available in all leading supermarkets and outlets. It's still the same flour. Pembe yangu ni poa.
I'm here today to give you a few tips about how we're able to flatten the curve and curb the spread of this virus. Ensure you wash your hands as often as possible with soap and running water. Stay at home to protect yourself, your family and your loved ones. If you have to leave the house, ensure you wear a mask. And if you live with small kids, ensure they wear the mask too. While outside there, ensure you keep your social distance, which is 1.5 meters as recommended. In these difficult times, we are calling on brands and businesses to do good and give back. As a business, avail your resources and time to the less fortunate and help curb the spread of the virus.
I'm on top of Africa. Anybody for a lolly to make you jolly? This is history unfolding.
Century is Africa's.
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night.
The Kenya Film Commission, in line with its mandate and function of promoting development of local content and establishing a film fund, has established a film empowerment program that will provide film and video-related funding. The Commission announces the funding application for the 2019-2020 financial year. Individuals, companies and organizations will be required to submit funding applications to the Commission. The submissions kicked off on the 28th of April and will run through to the 9th of June 2020. To register, visit www.kenyafilmcommission.com. Kenya Film Commission. Film Kenya. Capture Africa.
Welcome back. Now, teachers and university staff unions have cautioned against rushing to reopen schools as the country records new coronavirus infections. They submitted their views to the Education Response Committee that's tasked with drawing a back-to-school roadmap that will also inform how the school calendar and the national exams will be reorganized. Naoma Sampao reports.
As the government plans to ease restrictions imposed to stop the spread of the coronavirus, including opening up schools, how to ensure the children's safety in classes will still be a major source of pain. The Ministry of Health guidelines stipulate that there shouldn't be more than 15 people in a room, and according to teachers' unions, that's near impossible to achieve.
The government should do mass testing for all students and teachers of boarding schools before reopening schools once the pandemic is contained, and those who are sick are allowed to stay home until full recovery before resumption of learning.
The Ministry of Education pushed the May 4th opening date by a month to June 4th as the country reported more infections. The national exams were to go on as planned in October and November. But the Kenya National Union of Teachers wants the examination dates pushed to the first quarter of 2021, even as the union cautioned against rushing to reopen.
We would rather have all our children staying at home, safe and alive, and repeating a year instead of forcing them to school so that they die. We must avoid. The world will not come to an end if we suspend certain matters. And we agree, even the national exams, KCP and KCSE, is not a ticket to heaven. It can be postponed to a suitable time when the syllabus shall have been covered and when school shall have resumed, when the curve shall have been flattened.
Naoma Sampao, NTV.
All right, from that, let's take a breather now. The sports news with Brian Otwal is coming up in a moment.
This new pack is available in all leading supermarkets and outlets. It's still the same flour. Pembe yangu ni poa.
Change your baby's diaper often and as soon as possible after bowel movements. Gently clean the area with mild soap and water or baby wipes. Have a clean diaper. Use diaper ointment to prevent diaper burn, diaper wipes or a container of warm water and a clean washcloth or cotton balls.
Kiss kids diapers. Kiss kids. No rashes. Kiss kids. No rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Buy diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
What comes to your mind when you think of the perfect home for your family? Is it the beauty, the comfort, the security, the convenience, or even the affordability? Victory Gardens offers exactly that and much more. It is just 10 minutes drive from Kitengela town and 3.8 kilometers off the tarmac. This gated community project comes with solar street lighting, maram roads, beautiful trees, 24-hour security, and water connected to every plot. The best part is, families are already living here. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optiven.co.ke.
Optiven Limited, the pacesetters in real estate.
On Thursday, 28th May, the Nation Media Group will hold a live virtual Nation Leadership Forum on COVID-19 and health from 7:30 p.m. on NTV. With the help of a panel of experts, it shall delve into the effects of COVID-19 on the health sector and the various measures instituted to ensure the Kenya healthcare system survives the shocks of COVID-19, including attainment of universal health coverage, and charts a way forward for the sector in the years ahead. Nation Leadership Forum. Engaging society, impacting the nation.
Let's have a look at the day's sports news. Welcome, my name is Brian Otwal. The Eliud Kipchoge Foundation is appealing to corporates and individual well-wishers for food donations, which will be distributed by his foundation to vulnerable athletes in the country. The foundation today received food aid from Zahara Hassan Ali family, which was distributed to 24 vulnerable athletes in Kaptagat area in the county of Elgeyo Marakwet. Those who received the food aid are mostly junior, upcoming and student athletes who have been struggling to fend for themselves following the cancellation of the local and international races in the wake of the coronavirus outbreak. That was not the story, but we'll be getting those pictures after this. But from punching greatness to lifting the weights of success to enduring the bitter test of abject poverty, the story of former national boxing and bodybuilding coach Mzee Rajab Muhammed is one that lays bare the neglect faced by Kenyan sports personalities in their retirement. I caught up with him in Majengo, Nairobi County, and here is his story. The hustle and bustle of Nairobi is alive and kicking as we head to Pumwani, Majengo, where we meet 72-year-old Mzee Rajab Muhammed. Mzee Rajab, who was born in Majengo in 1948, whiles away his sunset years at this shanty, a far cry from his sporting success over the years. After primary school education at the Islamic primary, the boxing bug hit him and he took to the ring. His urge for more led him to take up the sport of bodybuilding, and he went on to become a coach to many in 1964.
Viko vingi lakini kwa very expensive. Hata sasa ni very expensive hii mchezo. Mimi nilifanya kwa cheap. Naweka pale tukaweka. Naweka showroom tukaweka. Sasa mchezo wa bodybuilding ndio kianguka. In his heydays, 72-year-old coach Rajab Muhammed impacted a lot to the success of different sportsmen and women in the 1960s and 70s, from football, boxing and bodybuilding. But that has since faded away with nothing to show for it. As a testament to his coaching pedigree, Mzee Rajab coached some of the finest Kenyan bodybuilders in the likes of Charles Okubasu, former Mr. Universe Jackson Jue, as well as Charles Ndirangu. Kuna wengine hata majina nimewahi kwa sababu kwa vijana wadogo wadogo. Na watu kutoka mwanzo mpaka mwisho wanashinda na acha mazoezi. Wengine wamekuwa bodyguard. Wale vijana aliwafunza wengi wao wote ni makocha. Hata Sabat muulize mwenyewe. His coaching skills also get a seal of approval from 15-time Mr. Kenya bodybuilding title holder Mickey Ragos. At 75, Ragos is remarkably fit in contrast to his former training partner Mzee Rajab, who is just 3 years younger. Alikuwa coach mzuri sana wa boxing. Very good coach. Amecoach vijana wengi sana boxing. Wengi sana. In addition to boxers and bodybuilders, Mzee Rajab also took footballers through the paces, helping them gain muscles necessary for their sport, among them Kenya 1 goalkeeper Mohamed Abbas, deceased Gor Mahia legend Martin Ogwanjo Ouma, as well as Swale Ochieng. Pamoja na mpira ilikuwa akinifundisha mambo ya kuwa na power kwenye miguu, na nilikuwa nikifanya mazoezi sana nikikimbia kwenda Thika na kurudi na kuja na malizia kwake hapa gym. Things however took a turn for the worse in the early 2000s as the emergence of gang violence in Majengo forced him out of his beloved passion of shaping talents. Sasa tabu ilitokea ni hivi. Watu kuleta ugomvi, kuleta fujo, ngata manguvu, gang ya pandei fujo, gang huko namna hiyo. Lakini labu tuliwekana kufanya kazi. The mental effects of the violence also took a toll on his family, consisting of his 3 wives and 4 children. Kilichotendeka ni alisaidia watu wengi, lakini pia ni kama aliumizwa akili kidogo, hayuko sawa hivyo kiakili pia. Familia yake ilipoona akili imeruka, walikimbia pia, wakaenda kutafuta usaidizi kwingine na kuanza maisha kwingine. Ragos denies Mzee Rajab's mental state may be as a result of effects of supplement. Sisi wakati wetu kulikuwa kuna drugs. No. Uningie gym, train, enda compete ushindani. Sasa I don't know what happened to Rajabu. Sijui. Rajabu sasa ni kama chokora. Kwa nini? Kwa nini kama chokora? Rajabu alikuwa na gym kama hii.
Just like Mzee Rajab's life has withered despite his success in his earlier days, the Kenyan bodybuilding scene has also shrunk, with the Rago's vibrancy replaced by apathy in competition and ineptness in management. This as the overall neglect to Kenyan sports people keeps hitting further lows with every passing day.
So sisi tumekuwa ni ambassadors wa hii nchi, lakini maisha yetu unakuta inadhoofika, apart from a few wawili watatu wanne ambao penginepo kimasomo nini, sisi masomo yetu ilikuwa ni mguu.
For former Kenyan sporting greats, hope springs eternal that one day their sporting success in their earlier years will count for something.
Serikali itatukumbuka lini? Sisi tumewakilisha nchi hapa na sisi maisha yetu yao ya kuombaomba huku na huko.
And back to that Eliud story, the Eliud Kipchoge Foundation is appealing to corporates and individual well-wishers for food donations which will be distributed by his foundation to vulnerable athletes in the country. The foundation today received food aid from Zahara Hassan Ali family, which was distributed to 24 vulnerable athletes in Kaptagat area in the county of Elgeyo Marakwet. Those who received the food aid are mostly junior, upcoming and student athletes who have been struggling to fend for themselves following the cancellation of local and international races in the wake of coronavirus outbreak.
Tunaona tunaenda kukula vizuri na kufanya mazoezi kwa sababu changamoto mingi ilikuwa mambo ya chakula, na tunaona siku ya leo tumeshiba, na tunashukuru kwa kama sisi wetu wakimbiaji kwa kutukumbuka siku ya leo.
I know the feeling of going to training in the morning when the stomach is really empty. So I still encourage those who have been tight to do the same. It's not a must that they should actually fund my foundation, but they should do the same in their own small way, and together we can feed the whole country.
And the Ministry of Sports has denied talks of taking over the refurbishment and management of the city stadium. Instead, the CS for Sports Ambassador Amina Muhammed intimating that they will partner with all counties to develop stadia in the country.
No, we don't intend to take it from anybody. It belongs to Nairobians, and I am hoping that as we are working with other counties as well, we are working with Uasin Gishu County, we are also working with Kisumu County, and I hope that we can work with Nairobi County to refurbish City Stadium and make it a football stadium.
And Premier League clubs voted unanimously to resume contact training as the English top flight took a significant step towards a possible restart in June. The Premier League was put on hold in March due to the coronavirus pandemic, with Liverpool agonizingly close to the title. Clubs returned to training in small and socially distanced groups last week, but they have now moved to stage 2 of the return to training protocol. 8 cases of coronavirus among them players and staff, with 4 today, have been detected from 1,744 tests in the first 2 rounds of the testing in the Premier League. In the second tier championship, just 2 positive tests were registered for 1,014 tests. A targeted return date of June 12th was described by Premier League Chief Executive Richard Masters last week as a staging post. And from England to Italy, where Serie A's hopes of following Germany and Spain back onto the pitch will be decided on Thursday in a meeting with the Italian government, which will determine the fate of the season in Italy. The season has been on hold since March 9th, when it was halted as coronavirus infections spread rapidly in Italy. The pandemic has killed almost 33,000 people in the country, and clubs returned to group training on May 19th, but competitive action remains suspended until mid-June. The league wants competition to resume on weekend of June 13th to 14th, starting with 4 postponed fixtures. And to a league that has resumed third-placed RB Leipzig missed a chance to draw level on points with Dortmund after drawing 2-2 with Hertha Berlin in tonight's Bundesliga action. 4 more Bundesliga matches are lined up tonight. Union Berlin play Mainz, Augsburg battle Paderborn, Düsseldorf host Schalke, while Hoffenheim face Cologne. On that note, we end our sports. We play again tomorrow. Have a lovely night. My name is Brian Otwal. Back to you, Smriti.
Thanks, Brian. And that's it on NTV tonight. Thanks so much for your company. Remember to join me on the Nation Leadership Forum tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. as we discuss how the coronavirus pandemic has affected health care in the country. Thanks for watching. Flora Atieno has been our sign language interpreter. Bye-bye.
This is NTV.
I help women find independence by training them in fish farming. It's tough on my back, joints, and can cause headaches. Panadol Extra relieves multiple types